Hello and welcome to another glorious read. I am your host, Aspen M. Sage. Let's get into it. First off, happy Saturday, everyone. I know I'm slacking. I keep saying that. But I can only record when the opportunity is arised. And unfortunately, I did not finish this book until last night. It was hard to get through. It wasn't that it was a bad story. It just did not grab my interest like I thought it would. So last time I was here, I talked about the Body Count series. So I finished that. I am waiting for the Skeleton Crew to come on, and I found out there's other books too, not that series, but entwined to it. So this time I went to read book Crave to Conquer by Zoe Ellis. It wasn't a bad book. Like I said, it just was hard to grab my attention. I am big into the Alpha Omega universe kind of thing, but this book was hard for me. The characters were done beautiful with Drocco and Cailyn. So those are the main and female characters. And it was really nicely described, being it like a new rising empire, being a dark romance, and being a possessive alpha, but it just did not grab my attention like I was hoping it would. So the book starts out with Drocco is the emperor of this new empire of the Locks, and his goal, or what he promised his soldiers, was a Omega, but Omegas have not been seen for 120 years, and he promises them that he would find them. So he asked help for a historian named Cailyn, who is a beta. He's very interested in her. He's very attracted to her. Cailyn is actually not a beta. She is a Omega who is good in the talent. A talent is basically magic. So she's able to put blocks up so that she's not attracted to him or any other alpha, and they are not attracted to her. Her goal is to basically get information from the Alpha's archives to make sure that he does not find the Omegas. She is sent by the mothers. The mothers are basically the council of older Omega women who sent her in as a spy. Cailyn's really good at her job. She's really snarky, but the Alpha is definitely more concerned on finding the Omegas to obviously gift them to his soldiers, but yet to bring the Alpha birth rates up. Unfortunately, Cailyn is very snarky. She's very snappy at him, but she's also trying to deter him from finding the Omegas. So her job is basically to gain the information that he has, but yet when the time is up, that she's not unable to find, quotations, the Omegas, she's going to suggest he goes find a different historian. Well, because all these Omegas are actually hiding in plain sight as betas, and of course he thinks the betas are trying to take over the world, not knowing that most of them are actually Omegas. He's celebrating a battle won, and during this time he has his crafters, his talented crafters, put up these kind of blocks to make other people who are using the craft to basically fail at their magic. Well, when Cailyn is forced to attend, her blocks get cut off, and of course front and center is the Alpha himself, and he smells her and knows that he's been lied to. Of course, because Cailyn knows now that her blocks are gone, she can smell him, she reacts to him, he reacts to her, she takes off running, and all of a sudden she's hit with her haze. Haze is like a heat for most shifters, I'm assuming. So she goes basically into this beginning of the haze because her blocks are gone. And because they are gone, she now has to run and hide and get out before he claims. She ends up locking herself in the library with him, and she ends up basically putting a wall up with the remaining of her magic ability with a clear head to keep him out. But of course, when she goes into this haze, she loses all control. She's wondering why like the alpha can't get to her, why he hasn't made with her, because obviously he's a suitable mate, you know, all that stuff. And he is trying everything to get to her, and he's like even killing alphas that, you know, come near her. Um, and it's just really like nicely done how he's like possessive of her and how they're like actual true mates, but she obviously has a brain of her own and she thinks that he's like a monster and the worst of the worst alpha. So of course during this her haze is waning, so her magic is actually being drained, and when her barrier comes down he does take the opportunity to take her, and of course she enjoys it because she's still in the haze. When that happens he kind of kidnaps her, and it's kind of like a Stockholm syndrome at this point because he basically takes what he wants from her, and he assumes because of all of his records that alphas are supposed to claim their omegas. Omegas are supposed to want their alphas. They're supposed to please them and obey them. Well, she's not the obeying type, and she never will be. So she's very snarky, but yet she needs him. And it becomes a love-hate relationship. Like, he's like, you need to claim me as your alpha, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, absolutely not. I will defy you every inch of the way. Known to them, they're actually true mates, but they don't want to be, kind of thing. Like he definitely wants her, but she wants nothing to do with him. And it's hard to get into a little bit because he actually uses pleasure, but it's fine, to basically get information from her, but he does it kind of the wrong way. Because actually, by doing this, he's actually hurting his bond. And he goes to a records keeper and asks about it. And he goes, well, the reason why you think omegas are so submissive is because you have records written by alphas, not omega records like we have. And he didn't realize it. He goes, well, that's not true. Like, no, I need to fix her behavior. And that's what kind of gets me is he's like, it's her behavior, nothing on him. It even comes down to another king. He's basically like, oh, I can help you. And it turns into this whole thing where he gives him a spell, and Drocco does not use the craft. He doesn't use the talent at all. But when he does, he basically goes to her, tries to fix their situation. She's nesting. He's purring for her. She purrs for him. And she doesn't realize that it's because that, you know, they're actually comfortable with each other. But when he does use the craft to get her history, basically it opens up all of her magic that he had up to block her from using it. And, well, she skedaddles, hurts him, and goes back to the mothers to tell them that she ended up giving information because he was torturing her. And they tell her to go back to her mate, her true mate. And then she goes, I can't be married to him. He's a monster. He's awful. He tortured me. And they're like, but you did this stuff. And it's like, do you really hate him or his actions? And she's like, oh, I didn't think of it that way. So she's like, I don't really want to return to him, but at the same time she's like, I have to return to him. But at the end of the book she gets kidnapped and he finds out about it, and he basically knows it's the king that gave him that bogus spell, and he's got to go back and, you know, save her. So all in all, I mean, the book was good. There is 9 other books to the series. My problem is it did not grab my attention enough to want to read the other books. I might still. I'm not saying I'm not going to. I might still. But I gave the book a 3 on reads. I would probably go 3.5 if I could. Maybe a mild 4. Spice level was about a 4, maybe a 3-ish, because there was a lot. It just wasn't very descriptive as I like it. As for dark romance, like this book is supposed to be, it's a dark paranormal. His pleasure to torture kind of idea, yeah, that's fine. He's a little unhinged though, not like what I was talking about Liam being unhinged in like the liking books. This guy literally just kills anybody. He's just like, I don't care about your life. He's like, you do something to me, you're getting, you know, punished, you're getting killed. Like, he at the end of the book killed all of his crafters, or talented crafters, because they didn't make sure the spell that he got was safe enough. And they're like, you gave us 3 days. And he's like, Yeah, and they're like, we asked you a week, and he goes, no excuse for your incompetence. So, needless to say, as a book, probably Cailyn's my favorite, but there is also the beta second hand to the alpha. He's pretty cool. He's more reasonable. I silently think he might be an omega, to be honest with you. Even for being a beta, because like Cailyn paid attention to him in the book during her haze, but it wasn't because he was an alpha. But I think it's because he's an omega. Like I said, there's 9 books of the series. I don't know if I want to go read them all or not. Like, this book didn't grab me like the Lion King did, um, or the Lost Luna series. Correction. So it's hard for me to actually admit to like see if I'll go back. Like, I might grab the second book to see where it goes, but at this time, I'm gonna jump to a different book. Like, I did finish this one. I didn't like stop midway. I could tell from the beginning. I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this book, but I bought it. I read it. So I did at least accomplish that. So I definitely say, maybe try this book if it's up your alley. It's definitely more like the Empire Dynasty, um, conquering kings kind of way, Alpha Omega. So it is like right up there. It's just not for me in a way. It is good. But right now that book is done, and now I am jumping back into our Irish mob. The Filthy Savage by Leanne Harris. The age gap. This one's called Filthy Savage with Yun and Amara. So I'm hoping this one goes good. There is a 4th book. It's not out yet. I am hoping it's coming soon, though. So I know this podcast is going to be short, guys, because obviously, like I said, I didn't get really into the other one, so it was hard to give a decent review. Like I said, it's probably about the 3.5 scale for me. Not the biggest read. It's not that 4 or 5 like I like. Like I said, the spice is the same way. So, with that being said, guys, I hope everybody has a fantastic day. Go on an adventure, enjoy something nice, and hopefully, I have a better podcast for you next week. Like I said, I'm going to read The Filthy Savage and maybe go back to a shifter book after. Although there's been a couple dark romances that have been catching my eye, and I'm trying to avoid them, but it's hard to. Like the Haunting Adeline, that's keep popping up, or there's a carnival one where it's masked people, and I'm also waiting for my Skeleton Crew. There's also a bunch of books, like the Klondike Sector that I'm waiting for, or back to the Lost Luna series, made into the King's Gamma. So there's a lot of books I'm still waiting for to come out. I'm not gonna rush an author because I don't like being rushed, but I do can't wait. So it's hard. I can, but I can't. So thank you everybody for listening, and like I said, sorry about the short podcast. I like I said, I don't know if I'm gonna go back for this book series or not. But thank you for listening. Thank you for the support, and catch you next time. Thank you, and bye bye.